Luz, mil gracias. Qué pena. Mi español es muy mal, por eso continúo en inglés. Okay, I apologize. I can be dangerous in Spanish, but not good. So, firstly, thank you to all for spending some time with us today. It's for me a great pleasure to see some familiar faces and get to know some new faces. And for us, it's been a wonderful journey for the last 6 years with InnoQuotient, and some of you we have known even longer than that. And so for all the partners, for the friends, colleagues, un abrazo fuerte, okay? And to the new friends. And COVID-19 has created chaos, and it has created VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity, and we have all lived through this. And at the same time, if you notice what's going on globally, innovation is flourishing. Innovation and creativity is just doing very well today. And that is the craziness. Crises fuel creativity. Crises actually kind of, in fact, promotes innovation. And this is nothing new. Innovation always struggles during good times. Okay? And that is the paradox, is during good times, innovation struggles, and in bad times, innovation flourishes. And I think you've all seen the meme, right? Who is the best, digital transformation champion? It's not the CEO, not the CTO, not the CIO, but it is coronavirus. So we can say the same thing. Who is the best innovation leader? It is COVID-19. Okay? Why? Why does that happen that way? Because innovation and creativity loves constraints. Okay? And at the same time, it cannot be too constraining. It loves boundaries. Innovation requires what we call as creative boundaries and creative constraints. Okay? And that's where during good times, we make a lot of mistakes. We overfeed our innovation efforts. We try to do big bang projects. We go and make a lot of noise before anything really happens. Okay? So there are systematic mistakes that we make during good times. And I always tell executives, you should manage innovation during good times as though it is a crisis moment. Okay? But in good times, when things don't go well, what do? We blame the culture. So the culture usually is the punching bag for all problems inside a company. Okay? And so culture is, you can't blame one single person. So what do? You blame the culture. Okay? For all problems, not just innovation, whether it's digital transformation, whether it's a big implementation, whether it's a leading change, it doesn't matter. When things don't go wrong, who do you blame? Culture. And then all discussion stops because you blame culture. And so we have to understand that culture for most people is very squishy, very nebulous, and nothing concrete, not tangible. Right? And you can hide behind culture. You can give 100 excuses and not do anything in the name of culture. So nearly about 10, 15 years ago, I was frustrated because all discussion would stop at the word culture. All progress would stop at that word culture. Okay? And you could kind of do nothing in the name of culture. And so when I dug deep into the literature, into the research from multiple different perspectives, not just from a human resource perspective, from an organizational dynamics perspective, from climate perspective, and from business processes perspective, from a sociology perspective, from an anthropology perspective, culture is not nebulous, squishy. No, it is concrete and it's measurable. Okay? And that's what set out. We set out, Joe Weintraub and I, and then Fran joined in. We set out and said, no, it is concrete and it's like taking a physical test. We go to our medical physical test every year. Yes, you can take a test and see how good you are, how bad you are. How do we think? How do we act? What are our mindsets? What are our behaviors? How do we define success? Because all businesses at its foundation is people trying to put together different types of resources, gathering resources, and then you do two things. You have projects and you have processes. That is your sausage making machine, right? Processes and projects. And then out comes your success, your performance, your KPI. And you have customers and your products, that's the output. And so that's your business side, resources, processes, metrics. But how we define success has an inordinate impact on our mindset and our behaviors. Okay. Everything, what have we done? COVID-19 has given us a kita is a kick in the ass, right? It has changed our definition of success. And so we are pushed to change our behaviors. We have been forced to change our mindset because the definition of success has changed over 3 months. So how you define success has a big impact on your values and your behaviors. And your climate has changed in 3 months. Culture is much more robust. Climate is fragile. Climate is one small component of culture. Out of the 6 building blocks of culture, climate is only one-sixth. Okay? So climate can change very quickly, but our culture won't. Okay? So the 6 building blocks of InnoQuotient captures this culture. And we can take a pulse and we can kind of really know where are our strengths, where are our weaknesses, how do different divisions think, how do different geographies think, how do different levels inside the organization, how do they think, how do they act, where are the bright spots, where are the weak spots, who can learn from each other. And so these are all the things that we have been having fun with many of you, many of your teams, many of your companies, and it's been a joy. It's been a joy to help many of your companies and to interact with many of your executives. And so let me turn this over to Fran. He has some new things to share, and we'll open this up for Q&A, and we want a dialogue and to hear all your thoughts and what you're going through in the last few months. Okay, Fran?
Muy bien. ¿Cómo consideras este momento para volver a medir? Es otra pregunta. No sé, Jay?
¿Qué es medir?
To measure.
No, so I want to make sure that I understand the question correctly. Can you translate the question, please?
How do you believe this is the right time to measure again, the company, the culture.
Yeah, yeah. So our behaviors, our mindset, our climate, everything has changed in the last 3 months. So what you will have is a baseline now. Okay. So in fact, this is the opportune moment to measure. Okay. Because then you will look back. If you already have data, that's good. Okay. Because then we can see, look back, and we already have, I don't know what, 400 companies in our database. So for them to measure again now and again a year from now is fantastic data to see how things have changed inside the organization.
Okay.
There is another important difference. When the Institute for Quality in Spain adopted our tool, they were one of the first to adopt our tool for their members. And they had actually looked at many different tools that already existed. And these were tools coming from large companies, large consulting companies. And there was one reason why they chose ours. And the reason is because our tool had much more behavioral, much more people issues, rather than just pure resources, processes, and metrics. Because so that was one big difference that the leaders in the organization told us why they chose our tool for their members.
Gracias, Jay.
So I want to make sure I understand it. So about the product leadership, operational excellence, customer intimacy. So the question is, how is the culture different from the focus on these three? Is that correct?
How influence reaching that?
Okay. So one is that a specific company may have an obsession for operational excellence. The culture may be focused on operational excellence. In a different culture, the culture could be customer intimacy. Okay. And in a third company, it could be product leadership. So the way we capture that in the tool is through how we define success. And there, it's a very generic question that we are asking them. Have your processes given you success? Has your financials actually helped you demonstrate your success because of the choices you have made? Okay, so it is pretty generic in that sense, because Walmart could have an operational excellence focus, whereas Amazon could have a customer experience focus. So we are a little agnostic as to what is it that they pick as their key kind of a culture.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you.
Yeah, you can innovate in operational excellence. You can innovate in customer experience. You can innovate in customer intimacy. So those are all the and all of that is basically the 6 building blocks are the building blocks of any culture. Okay, it's not just innovation. The innovation has a lot of paradoxes, not trade-offs. Trade-off is A or B. Paradox is A and B. Okay, you need structure. At the same time, you need freedom. You need discipline. At the same time, you need to experiment. You need to measure. At the same time, you need to make sure that you don't measure it too quickly. So all of these are paradoxes that we have to manage. So it is very difficult if you don't understand leadership, and specifically entrepreneurial leadership. Okay. And so what happens is that innovation with the wrong hands that's when people make trade-offs. Okay. And so that's where, yes, you can use the tool. Yes, you can measure. But if they don't understand some of these paradoxes, innovation dies in the wrong hands. And I have seen this again and again and again and again. Given to the wrong person is the best way to kill innovation and creativity. Okay.
Jay, ¿cómo mantener una cultura de innovación en tiempos de home office?
Oh.
I wish I had answers. Okay. If I had a lot of answers for that, I wouldn't be spending 1 hour here. I will be with Jamie Dimon. I will be with Jeff Bezos. I will be with the CEOs. The talking. Yeah, I have the answers. I don't. And we will learn very quickly. That's the beauty of humans and our ability to learn very quickly. Okay. And in fact, the CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, the COO went to Jamie Dimon, the CEO, and said, our efficiencies have gone up during COVID-19. Our meetings are much more productive during COVID-19. Immediately they said, yes, 80% of the people don't have to come back. TCS, one of the largest consulting companies in India, has basically made an announcement that they don't want people to come back. So we are going to learn very quickly how culture is going to change. It will. In the past, we have some examples. There's a company called Basecamp, and the company was born virtual, okay? But it's not a very large company, and the CEO is amazingly good at it, okay? Jason Fried is a superstar at how to manage global companies virtually all the time. But those were companies that were born virtual. But those of us who are going from physical to virtual, we will be learning very quickly. That's why I said now is the baseline, okay, to measure and say, hey, where were we at the time of the crisis? And a year or two from now, we will understand where's the culture. Okay, I'm curious. Sorry, I don't have answers.
Thank you, Jay. Muy bien. Nos habían enviado una pregunta previamente que dice, para una cultura de innovación, ¿size matters? ¿Importa el tamaño? ¿Es posible que vayamos a una era de consolidaciones forzadas por la crisis actual de falta de clientes?
Jay, do you want?
So please,
English?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. For an innovation culture, does size matter? Is it possible that we go to a consolidation era forced by the current crisis of lack of customers?
If there are no customers, there's no company. Okay. So again, I think culture is an outcome. Culture is not an input. What do I mean by that? As Fran was saying, in a startup, there is no culture. You only have the values and the behaviors and the climate of the founding team and the founding members. Okay. And the startup tries to do some resource allocation. They try to set up some processes and they try to create some products and get customers, and it doesn't work. What do? They change the resource allocation, they change the process and try to go to a different set of customers. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. Then again, they change the resources, but all the time they're changing their values and behaviors because of failure. But the third attempt, if they find some success, what is human nature? Human nature is now, I want to have a machine to repeat that resource allocation, to repeat the process that gave me success and the metrics that I'm measuring success by. So again, when we get 10 new customers, we repeat that process and the resource allocation. So over time, our prioritization, our resource allocation, the projects and the processes we pick and how we measure success will actually impact our values, behaviors, and climate. So culture is an outcome of previous success. So today, our success is being redefined completely. How we measure is being redefined completely. Right? Whether it's a large company, small company, medium company, does not matter. Right? So we have to rethink that's why the question is, how will our culture be when so many people are working from home? I don't know. So human resource people make a big mistake. They think culture is an input. No. Culture is an outcome of past success. That doesn't mean it is the culture that is going to give you future success. It won't.